I have a plan. After a couple of experimental games, one where I went infantry only and another where I went vehicles only, I actually have something in mind to try and improve my effectiveness in Dark Reign this time round. I've been working on it a little bit, when lying in bed unable to sleep and that kind of thing. We'll see how it goes. Let's go into a skirmish as usual. And this time I'm going to go up against... Well, firstly I'm going to shrink the map down to tiny... Actually, that's 100 by 100. There might even be a smaller one, conceivably. I think they're all bigger, but you never know. Let's see if we can find a really small one. Because, oh god, there are so many of them. Okay, well let's go on this one. This is 100 by 100. 6 players. Ugh. Well, basically, I'm looking for a small map because I'm going to go one-on-one. Let's do that one. I'm going to go one-on-one this time, and I don't know whether that will be easier or more difficult. Close that slot, close that slot. Here we go. I'm going to make it hard, and I'll leave the faction on random. Now, my immediate instinct is that being up against one opponent rather than 3 would be harder. But I suppose it could be easier. It's easier. Let me try that again. My immediate instinct is that being against one opponent would be easier than having 3 people to fight, but I imagine it could be harder because they won't all be fighting each other. My one opponent will be entirely focused on me. But nonetheless, I'm going to set it to hard. Now, I'm again not going to fuss around with all this stuff, just press on. And I'm going to try and be a bit more measured this time. I'll talk a bit more about this as we go along, but I do have a plan in mind, and hopefully it will become apparent as we go. Now, it's all going to be a little bit more restricted and hopefully less full-on all the time. Now, obviously, straight away, I'm going to have to start off with the usual stuff. But what I usually do after setting up my first facilities here is I go for the construction facilities that allow me to build units. And then I throw down both of those, the infantry one and the vehicle one, and then I start spawning units as quickly as I can, basically. Okay, let's pump out a couple of construction rigs, 3 I think. And what I usually do is throw both of those down and just start pumping out units. But I usually find that I'm very short of money in the early stages of the game. And I've been thinking I probably don't really need both of those facilities straight away. If I've learnt one thing from my previous experiments recently, it's that I held out surprisingly well with just infantry. So I'm going to start with only the infantry training facility. I'm going to put it up here, because if you look in the mini-map and in the bottom right corner, you'll notice we are in fact in the bottom right corner of the map. And although the training facility is important, I'm going to try and use it as sort of a wall around these vital buildings down here and keep them concealed. Hopefully. We'll see. Really, I should have built them on this side, but never mind, eh? Now, I'm also going to go minimal on the turrets. I usually throw down a load of turrets at the outset for defensive purposes, but I'm going to put down 1 up here and 1 over here, and just try to keep it to those 2 at this stage. Actually, I should probably put that on the high ground instead of on the low ground like that. Yeah, that's better. Probably better visibility up there. Actually, I should in fact probably put it right at the top, but never mind. Okay, so that's a start. Now, I'm going to start producing infantry units, and again I'm going to try and be a bit more measured about it. I'm not going to pump out the maximum number of units. I'm going to think about how many I think I'll need to fend off sort of initial forays by my opponent. So I'm going to go for 6 now, and I'm going to try and put 3 at the top and 3 on the left, and see if those combined with the turrets will be enough to provide me with an initial defence. Now I also need to produce a scout, because my first order of business really after setting up this basic base should be to discover where the nearest resources are. Because there are only 2 factions, 2 players on this map. Yeah, that's a raider as well, move him up there. Okay. Because there's just me and my one opponent on this map. Where's my scout gone? Did I move it by accident? No. It's over there. No, they're all raiders. Okay, I must have produced too many raiders by mistake. Anyway, there's the scout. Now I'm basically going to take the scout out scouting. And I'm not going to do all that much with my base, which is usually bad form for a real-time strategy game. Okay, there's some Talon. See, that's something I've learnt immediately there. Get the freighter out there picking up the Talon. Yeah, it's usually bad form to go out microing units and just ignore what's going on in your base. But I'll let the enemy mine this patch as well. No need to get worked up about that just yet. In fact, I could probably follow this freighter to discover where the enemy base is. Yeah, I was going to say, it's usually bad form to just ignore what's going on in your base. But I'm focusing on building up a bit of money at the moment. Okay, there are some enemies. Let's head back this way. So I think it's safe to say the enemy is pretty much due north here. So what I really need to do with my scout, then, is head over to the west. What I'm looking for is resources. Because there are only 2 of us on this map, there should be a lot of resources to go around. You know, it won't be 1 water pool per player, and then you have to try and take the water pools off your enemies. There should be more than enough to go around, which I would expect to result in a... See, there's one right there. Okay, they're attacking my freighter, so grab my freighter, pull it back. Pull it back. Pull it back. Shit. Shit! Okay, the plan isn't going that well so far. Alright. Fortunately, I have the money to create another freighter. Oh, I don't have a vehicle assembly plant. That's problematic. Come on, you lot. I put you here for this very reason. Alright, the plan's not going so well so far. Because I'm using basic infantry units and he's using the next tier up. So let's create a few of the higher tier infantry units ourselves. Let's bring these raiders over here to take the pressure off the turret a little bit. So much for this plan. Yeah, I started saying... Hey, no! I selected the bloody scout. Get back there. And you, start repairing, please. Alright. Well, at least now I know I can mass most of my forces at the top here. Well, I should be able to, but apparently he's swinging in from the left as well. Oh, enemies do like to thwart your carefully laid plans. Alright, so stop that repairing. Yeah, what I've been thinking is, this should end up being quite a high resources game, because each of us should be snagging a lot of water holes and a lot of Talon. But we'll see, I suppose. Okay. I could do with another freighter to mine all that Talon, but the Talon up here. But I don't want to squander resources and my power supply on an assembly bay just yet. So let's focus on repelling these initial incursions. Wow, he's really moving out. This is the other strategy I've been thinking about trying out, is basically immediate aggression. Build a load of... Okay, now I need to start pumping out units. So much for the measured approach. Jesus Christ, he is absolutely wiping the floor with me. Maybe I shouldn't have set my enemy to hard. Oops. Anyway, yeah, that's an alternative strategy for me to try the next time round if this one doesn't work out. As it very much appears like it won't. Basically, very fast aggression, straight off the bat. just mass a few units and pile out straight away. I am absolutely going to get destroyed here. Oh wow, could this be the shortest game of Dark Reign ever? Oh, this is embarrassing. Alright, tell you what, I've lost there anyway, so... let's start over, restart the game, and try my alternative plan. I may revisit that plan, but set my opponent to medium instead of hard. Because hard might just give me some problems. Alright, plan B. The other thing I wanted to try out. Let's not go for the measured approach. Let's do it like this. Headquarters. Bang. And water plant. Bang. And power plant. Bang. Done. Now, as soon as the headquarters is up, the first thing I'm going to do is build a couple of construction rigs and put down an infantry facility, just like before. But this time I'm going to go for maximum infantry production straight away, and I'm going to move out very, very quickly. Okay, so 3 construction rigs, which is my normal thing. For some reason I always default to 3 construction rigs. Maybe it's because I start with 3, so I feel like I have to replace them once I've used them. Okay, again there might be some Talon nearby, but that's a concern for a little bit later on. First things first, infantry training facility. And I will actually not use it as a barricade this time, because that went pretty badly the last time. And again, whack down a couple of turrets. Now, I'm assuming, perhaps erroneously, that my enemy will spawn in the same location as last time, because I've spawned in the same location as last time. So that immediately gives me a slightly unfair advantage. But that's fine. I think I need all the advantages I can get against this hard opponent. So, once this training facility is up, what I'm going to do is start pumping out units very, very quickly. Again, I'm going to delay production on the assembly plant a little bit. I'm going to make this first push entirely infantry, and I'm going to go for the slightly more expensive mercenary units. I'm tempted to put down another training facility just to accelerate my infantry production. Yeah, actually, why the hell not? I probably should have done this straight away, but I didn't think of it. Yeah, I'm thinking if I'm going for an early push, an early attack, why not go for the quickest production I can, which means at least 1 more training facility. So stuff that down there, and just use it to accelerate production at this one. Maybe I should go for a mix of the 2 types of infantry units that I have available to me at the moment, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go entirely mercenary. And I'm going to wait for this first batch of 10 to finish up, and then I'm going to move out with those. This is advice I've seen given in certain StarCraft educational videos, and I know this isn't StarCraft, but I'm trying to generalise that advice to RTSs more broadly, since I don't have any expertise in RTSs in general. So, a piece of advice I heard was experiment with deciding you're going to attack quite early and just doing it, and see what happens. So this is something I want to try out here. And after the miserable failure of my initial slow, measured, structured build that I tried a few minutes ago, I'm going to try out this early push thing instead. Alright, here should be the last one of my mercenaries. Oh no, that was the penultimate one. One more. One more. Okay, here we go. Let's just move them now. Here we go. Let's move out. Because judging by his behaviour in the last game, my enemy will be moving towards me very, very quickly. Now the question is, do I want to go for just a harass, sort of niggle at his freighters and pick at his outer defences, or do I want to plough in there? Well, he's made the decision for me. Here we go. Take them down. Pugh, stupid Bion. Kill the Bion! Alright, and up we go. keep going. I heard a water shipment come in just there, so money's continuing to roll in. Again, hopefully that won't be a problem this time. I should probably produce another 10 mercenaries to follow up on this push if it goes well. Okay, let's do that. Take out the freighter, because frankly it's almost destroyed already, so we might as well finish it off. And yeah, I think produce another 10 mercenaries, because if this push goes well, then I'll probably want to follow it up with another push immediately. And if it doesn't go so well, then I might need defences for warding off a counterattack. So the plan that we saw me trying to execute a few minutes ago is one that came to me after speaking to my buddy, Nick, who's a little more experienced with RTS games than I am. And he suggested, basically, work on your finances. He was saying, you keep running out of money, buddy. So maybe you'll want to look at why that happens. Oh god, okay. So clearly, they were actually all moving out towards me anyway. So, pick up my reinforcements that I've been generating, and move them up here as well. Because it seems like there's an enemy push incoming. So I'll probably need to fend it off. Yeah, so my friend Nick was saying, you run out of money a lot early on. Maybe you want to look at why that's happening. So I thought, maybe it's happening because I spend so much straight away. Right off the bat, I put down both construction facilities. And I produce the most units I can all the time. Is that really the best way to go? Oh god. Okay. Again, construct more units for defense there, and keep pushing. Yeah, so that's what I was going for with what I was referring to as my measured build. I was thinking, try and produce only the things that I need to produce each step of the way. So hopefully I'll maintain some sort of economy as I go along, rather than blowing all my cash at the first opportunity. Alright, he's moved up to plasma tanks, so let's get a construction rig into production. I'm noticing, incidentally, that the mercenaries are quite good against plasma tanks. That's worth noting. Okay, I'm going to push up here. I might as well hit his repair station. I mean, it's not a priority target, but it is the closest one. Okay, we've got some more units pushing down here, so take that out. Actually, let's hit his construction rigs. Oh no, plasma tank is taking that decision off my hands. Okay, I mean, this isn't the most productive thing, but it is handy. I'll just leave them, set them to attack the freighter, actually, and then just leave them to their business. Now that I've built a construction rig, I will now throw down an assembly plant. Because at this point I'm probably going to start needing the vehicles. And I'm thinking tank hunters. This opponent is clearly working with plasma tanks already, and I found tank hunters have served me well in the past against tank-centric opponents. So, again, let's follow up that last push with another push, straight up there to his base. Could probably do with a bit more power, so since I'm keeping this Talon patch fairly secure with my repeated advances here, hopefully my freighter won't get completely totaled while mining here, as it did before. Hopefully I'm not running through my thoughts too quickly here, and you're able to actually follow what I'm thinking. But I've started out with an idea in mind, but I'm having to adapt on my feet. Because I don't know the game well enough, or indeed strategy in general well enough, to come up with an entire strategy straight off the bat. It's going to be more broad strokes. What sort of thing do I want to broadly execute? What do I want to keep in mind while I'm playing here? Alright, so my vehicle construction plant is up and running. This push is quite successful, so let's start throwing out spider bikes. I know I said tank hunters initially, but since this push is going so well, I think go for the quickest unit to produce, which is actually the spider bike. At this rate, this mere constant infantry pressure might actually finish him off. And this is a hard opponent. Could this go any more differently to the last game? Good grief. Is it really that simple to take out a hard opponent? Just apply constant infantry pressure? If so, that's a very interesting lesson to take back into the multiple opponent games. And again, if you fancy playing Dark Reign against me, now that you have some insight into my thinking and have a slightly unfair advantage, feel free to let me know. I've already had one request from someone to play a game of Dark Reign with me, so give me a shout if that's up your street. Alright, I think we've mostly taken this guy out, so let's hit select all units to bring my spider bikes up this way as well, however many I've already created, and just mop up the base. Because with no headquarters, he's basically screwed. And that's that! Took out one hard opponent, just like that. I'm actually really surprised. Well, that wasn't as thrilling. Well, it was a bit of a rollercoaster ride. Absolutely tragic start. But culminating in uplifting victory. And I feel like this has been quite a learning experience this time round. So next time, I'll go back to a multiple opponent game, and I'll try and put into practice some of the things I've learnt this time round about early pressure, and keeping infantry pressure on straight away, right off the bat from the beginning of the game. And I'll try and integrate that with the measured plan that I was trying to execute at the beginning of this episode. So, as usual, thank you for watching me wrestle with learning to play Dark Reign Redux, and rejoin me the next time for more clumsy strategic wranglings. See you then.